So, for those of you that don't know, Pope Francis, recently arrived to Canada to make his formal apology to the Indigenous people. He was specifically with the Cree Nation at the time, and many people asked for my opinion on this. And before I give my opinion, I would like to share maybe an article that was written by the AP that goes a little bit more in depth with what went on. And for those of you that can see here, you can see that he is wearing an Indigenous headdress. And I'll also give my opinion on that as well. So, Pope Francis issued a historic apology Monday for the Catholic Church's cooperation with Canada's catastrophic policy of Indigenous residential schools, saying that the forced assimilation of Native people into Christian society destroyed their cultures, severed families, and marginalized generations. My question here is he's like, I think, 86 years old, maybe 85. Why did it take so long to make this apology? Pope Francis said that he was deeply sorry and he received applause from school survivors and from the Indigenous community members that were gathered. He called the school policy a disastrous error, obviously, and it was incompatible with the gospel and said further investigation and healing was needed. And to me, with the investigation, why is it that these nuns and priests aren't held accountable already? Where's their jail time? They're responsible for genocide and many other issues that went on at these residential schools. The Pope humbly begged for forgiveness from the evil committed by many of the Christians against Indigenous people. In the first event of his week long pilgrimage, I guess you could say, Francis traveled again to the Cree Nations and prayed at a cemetery to deliver a long sought apology. Four chiefs had escorted the pontiff in a wheelchair to the site near the former emerald skin Indian residential school and presented him with a feathered headdress after he spoke, making him an honorary leader of the community. Now, again, my response to that is why would you give a non native person a headdress to wear? People that are watching this, can criticize my opinion, but I think a lot of people would agree with me. Last time I checked, it was known as offensive for people that weren't indigenous to wear those headdresses. But yeah, Francis's words went beyond his earlier apology for the deplorable abuses committed by missionaries and instead took institutional responsibility for the church's cooperation with Canada's catastrophic assimilation policy, which the country's Truth and Reconciliation Commission said and amounted to a cultural genocide. And yeah, that's what it is. It was a cultural genocide. It happened over 100 years. Um, I don't see how the people in government thought that was okay. More than 150,000 Native children in Canada were forced to attend the government funded Christian schools. So that's a lot of children that went through, abuse, molestation, sexual assault, all of these terrible things. And if you watch many of the videos on YouTube, you see all many of the people that survived that. Um, they break down, rightfully so, because of how terrible it was, how they were treated. Ottawa has admitted that physical and sexual abuse was rampant at the schools. Students were beaten. Um, so as you can see, it happened all over Canada, and not just Canada too, in the United States as well. And there were schools in Central and South America, Mexico. And I wanted to go here to this paragraph where someone said, he had waited 50 years for an apology, and finally today he heard it. That means that there were many popes before him that were not willing to give an apology. So, what does that say about those that were in charge, the previous popes? And then, in my opinion, I think these people's noses are raised so high that they think nothing of Indigenous people. And it just goes back to 1492, where many, or if not a lot of Spain, the UK, a lot of Western Europe, unfortunately, didn't think of indigenous peoples, even humans. They thought of them as needing to be saved. So my thoughts are that I think that it's good that the Pope apologized, but more needs to be done, and I hope he holds his word in terms of investigations because these people, these nuns and priests, are still alive. The last residential school didn't end until 1996. So that means obviously these people are just roaming around without a care in the world. I don't even care if they're 95, 96, knocking on death's door. They still need to be held accountable. So those are my thoughts. I'd love to see the comments, see what you guys think, and yeah, I hope you all have a great day.